What's up, McCool? Go ahead and tell us what you're going to cover and then take it away, brother.
So what I'm going to cover today is how do you craft long-form belief-shifting content using a little diagram that I put together, Hell in Heaven Island diagram and ChatGPT. It's kind of similar to, Dan, what you did last time with your evangelist script, and it's another approach of how do you shift beliefs using content, right? How do you write the long form content? So this little PowerPoint kind of represents the Hell in Heaven Island for a person that I'm kind of writing content for. So in this scenario, this example that we're working, like we've got freelance writers who are like our starting crowd. They want to get the result that I'm helping them get is high paying gigs. So I've already identified the current method. The old method is, they're using job boards to do that. They're probably struggling with it. And the new method that I want to kind of introduce is like niche networking events, right? So now knowing that, I want to know, okay, so what is the, I see like belief as a frame, right? They have this clouded frame. So I want to know what are all the clouded frame, what are all the limiting beliefs they have? And then how do I change that to an empowering belief so they can see my solution and see that as the only option? And the only way that they can do that is to wire an insight, right? So like what Dan was saying, he uses parallel storytelling as a way of like breaking the old belief into a new belief, right? So knowing this, I'm like, okay, now this is what I need to do, right? Visually, I can go to ChatGPT, come up with all the empowering, all the limiting beliefs that someone might have, a freelancer might have around achieving the high paying gigs, around niche networking events. So I can ask those questions and I can list them here. And then I can come up with, okay, what are the empowering beliefs? And then I can come up with insights. And once I have that, then I'm ready to kind of craft the content. So that's kind of the high level picture, right? So let's jump into it. So first prompt, it's pretty simple, right? So you got the target audience, desired result, new method. What are some of the limiting beliefs that the target audience might have about trying new method to get this desired result? And also tell me the opposite empowering belief. Generally, the empowering belief is just the opposite of limiting belief, but let's get ChatGPT to kind of help us with that, right? So it's going to give us a list, and that's kind of a brainstorming exercise, right? So Dan also did something similar in the last session where he asked, what are the objections? So there's many ways to ask this, like what I've tried with ChatGPT. You can ask limiting beliefs, you can ask what are the objections, you can ask what are the false assumptions. So all these different might just give you a list of all the limiting beliefs. So that's like the first step. So this is pretty straightforward. So once you have that, you kind of go, okay, which limiting belief am I going to tackle for my content today? The networking won't work for me because I'm an introvert, because that's what we're trying to kind of sell, a niche networking event. So that's the limiting belief you want to crack. And then I guess the empowering belief for that is introverts are way better at networking events. If you can make them believe that, then they will, probably buy this, agree on my solution, right? So how do I bridge that gap, right? How do I come up with insights? So that's the next prompt, right? So in this prompt, I kind of say, okay, I already picked my limiting belief. This is my empowering belief. Can you come up with a metaphor, data insight, case study, popular quote that helps target audience to bust the limiting belief and introduce the new empowering belief, right? Then I'll let ChatGPT kind of help me with that. So it can use metaphors, use garden as a metaphor. So it helps me say, okay, if your garden, networking events like a garden, the different plants. If I don't like it, I can even say, look, can you come up with another metaphor? I don't like that. If my target audience are like sports people, I can say, can you come up with a metaphor for sports? I know Dan likes movies, so he says, come up with a movie that kind of helps you kind of bridge that gap or comes up with the insight. But I also learned like you can use data insights, right? Like a lot of TED Talks use data insights. So it might even come up with some Harvard Business Review, which I guess you can go up and look up just to confirm, since ChatGPT sometimes hallucinates, so you're never sure. But also it kind of gives you a case study too, right? So if you have students who have case studies, it kind of gives you a sample. So you go, okay, you can use a case study example or a popular quote that you can kind of reference as well. Or you can use mix of all of them, right? So that's why it really helps you come up with ideas for your insight. So once you kind of nail down one of the ideas, one of the insight, you kind of capture it. In this example, when I was playing with it, chess was a good example. It said like introverts are really good at chess because they are very strategic. Hence, if you approach networking like chess, you're going to be better at selling networking events. So that can help people go, yep, I'm an introvert, I'm good at chess. Surely I'll be better at networking. Right. So that's the insight here. So you take that insight, and I guess you always have to come up with a root cause of the problem that you're going to start with, right? So any belief shifting content has to start with what problem they're suffering with. You can't just start with the belief shifting kind of what belief shift they have, right? So for that, you pick a symptom. So this is prompt that I shared on my post on my Facebook profile, which I think Dan commented as well. Kind of a root cause analysis, right? So all you do is you ask ChatGPT to do a root cause analysis on one of the symptoms that your target audience has. So in this case, the symptom that target audience has is they're limited and no response to their job application. So that's a symptom, but that's not the actual problem. So you have to get to the bottom of the problem. So you asking ChatGPT to help you come up with the root cause, because that's being an expert, you're good at describing the root cause, but sometimes you might not have, like you might have a clue, but you want ChatGPT to help you with it. So put this prompt in there where you basically ask it to conduct a cause analysis, identify all the root cause for the symptom for this target audience who are using this job board as an old method, and they want to achieve, like they want to get high paying gigs. And then you ask it to output in a certain format, provide a background, provide at least 4 potential overarching causes, contributing factors. You're asking to even break it down, because the more detail you give in your root cause, the better it's going to be, right? When you write your post. That's where your 50 to 60% of your post should be about, really breaking down your root cause. So kind of do that, copy paste this, and let's do and see what that's right. So put that in. So yeah, it's going to go into all like the detail of the cause of why someone might be having issues with job applications, right? So it gets into potential causes, then contributing causes, factors around it. It's going into like, if you look at the 5 why root analysis, it's kind of doing that, right? So it's doing root cause 1, root cause 3, root cause 4, and then finally get to the actual root cause, or it's because of oversaturation of job market, because a lot of people coming on, as freelancers, hence the quality is decreasing, hence you're not getting high paying gigs. So you're kind of describing the problem. In the end, kind of you get to the root cause and you go, yeah, that's the thing, right? So that's where you can stand out instead of kind of surface level answer. You're saying, oh, it's because of, it's just generic job title, or you're not good enough, your skills not good enough. You can actually go and pinpoint too many freelancers coming to the job market. And if you kind of validate that and you think that's correct, then you can take that as a root cause. That's like the next step. So finally, you're kind of ready, right? So you got the belief that you want to shift, you got the insight, you got the root cause, and finally you prepare your first draft for your content. So kind of inspired from Dan's previous thing, I put together this prompt as well. So basically we're giving it all the inputs from previously. I'm even kind of applying Gary Vaynerchuk as the persona. You can change the tone, style, and voice, saying it like, act as an expert copywriter, write me a 1,000-word belief shifting post for this target audience so that they can achieve desired results. Use this belief shifting script, which is 5-part script. Again, inspired from Dan's part 1, which is one-liner hook. Then you get into the part 2, which is really explain the root cause in detail, right? You want to make sure it's deep and complete and you don't leave any gap in explanation. And because you're continuing off from the same conversation, it will remember that and cannot apply the root cause as well, right? So if you kind of agree to that, and you can introduce now the empowering belief and insight and how it differs from the conventional belief and how it solves the actual symptom that we're talking about here. Then you can introduce your new method, which is niche networking events. Of course, you can improve this. The thing here is if you have a particular framework for writing things, you can just go here and add new parts or change some of the parts, but you got the right ingredients in there, right? You got all the beliefs, the insight, and the root cause. So once you've done that, you basically copy that in and paste that and get ChatGPT to write that for you. So it starts with the hook, then it jumps into the cause. So it comes to like, are you one of those Tom, Dick, Harry freelancers out there? It's time to stop playing the game of who can sell themselves better, start networking like a pro, then gets into the root cause, and then the belief shift, and then introduces the new method. Then you have a final call to action at the end. That's pretty much it. Now, let's look at any questions.
Yeah, let's see what the questions are. I really love that. It looks like with your way of approaching this, the power of getting a good output is that you're doing a lot of training ahead of time. Like you're actually feeding it a lot of information and parameters around tone.
I love seeing different perspectives on AI because there's just so many different ways to work it. I love seeing other people's stuff.
Something that I generally like to do, I like to make my post a bit funny and use metaphors a lot. So I just say, rewrite this in metaphorical language. And that's it, right? So you got the base structure. And now if you have a particular tone or things like that, so once you get to do that, then it gets really funny. Like I like my posts to be more edutainment. So I don't use all of those metaphors. I just pick one few of them, but it's given me a lot of ideas now, right? So I've got the base draft, which is more professional one or Gary's kind of tone. And then I've got some entertainment kind of metaphors here, and I can pick and choose between those two. And I've got my own original one.
The Hunger Games metaphor is really good. Anybody who's been a freelance writer on those job boards or any freelance anything really gets that. That's very relatable. I also love how you use the visual to start out and kind of look at the process. I know you use visuals a lot, and I think for some people that just cuts through a lot of the noise of looking at a big instructional text, right? Just having it laid out and you're almost like storyboarding it, right? A la maybe like Russell in his first books. It reminds me a lot of that. It's very smart.
Is there any questions in the chat, guys, for this?
I don't see any yet. Somebody asked about the documents.
I can share the document in the group.
Could you share it in school? That would be amazing.
Yeah, I can share that in the school
Guys,
group.
give him a
And
like if you
when we
love
put
it.
his workshop in the workshop recording area, there's just like, it has the downloadable resources. We can just like whatever stuff we can put there.
For sure.
If there's any questions, you guys can go ahead and post them.
Mariana says that she missed the beginning. Do you use this for content creation? Where are you using this?
Yeah, for content creation. So it's one of the type of content, right, which is creating long form belief shifting content. As Dan said, it's all in the framework in the end, right? So Dan's already done last training on evangelist script. This is belief shifting kind of script. You probably find more long form content. It's mainly to bust beliefs, right? Bust objections people might have. So it's not really for engagement or any of that, but it's really to help you sell high ticket items. If you're kind of in the promotion cycle as well, you're in that objection handling phase as well. So you can use this content a lot.
Kevin wanted to know, where did you get the storyboard? So the slides that you showed.
I created them.
Nice. He made it, guys. It's really good. Okay. Mariana says, are these blog posts or informing your webinar scripts, etc.?
I just use them for social media, not for webinar scripts or anything. No.
Well, very cool.
Cool.
Where can everybody find you, Mukul?
On Facebook, most of our marketing is Facebook organic. Yeah, just look for Mukul Gupta. I'm there. And I'll be also pretty active on school. So, yep, we can connect there. So that's cool.
Yeah,
Awesome,
go check him out
awesome.
on Facebook, guys. He shares a lot of great visual stuff. Thanks, Mukul. I appreciate it so much.
Dude, you rock, man.
Good.
Thank you so much for this. This was great. This was fantastic. Thanks, brother. Been watching you for a while. You put out some good stuff.
Thanks, buddy.
For sure.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for attending this workshop.